Good morning. Good morning. Jabba Delight will uplift you. Stay tuned. The show is about to begin. Grab your coffee. Stay tuned. This show is about to begin.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are we doing today? My name is Gavin Kerr, and I am here not with our usual Brandon Croucher, but with the most wonderful Brett Gordon. They were in a rather vigorous wrestling match this morning, and Brett came out on top, so he gets to start off the show this time. How you doing, Brett?
I'm doing well. Woke up at 6:15 this morning, took a shower, wide awake, ready to go.
You took a shower. That's why you look kind of wet. It's not a sweat from the wrestling match with you and Brandon, huh?
Well, that may be what you're seeing on the top of my brow.
Gotcha. How you been, man? It's been a minute.
I've been doing all right, actually. I sometimes got to take some time to ourselves and realize some of the things that are going on. And one thing that I've been kind of just checking on myself is my blood sugar level, and realizing that I think I better modify my diet at least for a while in order to get that under better control, because I refuse to go to the doctor and get medication, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I understand. I have this weird thing about not wanting to ever go to the doctor unless I'm like bedridden, and even then, I'll still just be like, you know what? I'll probably be fine. I'll just wait it out. I'll drink some tea and it'll blow over, kind of thing. I kind of wonder why we do that, though. Like for me, it's a money thing. It's not that I don't. It's not that I don't have insurance or the money to go to the doctor. It's that I just hate when I get that bill in the mail, and it's like, this was terrible. I would have rather just laid in bed for a few extra days.
Well, I think that, I having been bio pre-med for years and that kind of stuff, I really did go to the doctor more frequently than I do now. Now I kind of, and this is what the internet has given us as well. The internet has given us a database, basically more than an encyclopedia. When I was a kid, if we needed to do research, we had to go to the library. We had to know the Dewey Decimal System. We had to know how to, go to the encyclopedias in order to find stuff. Now you can find all of this information right at your fingertips, to include being able to, if you do the proper research, diagnose. You can do the research. You've got tools to be able to do your blood pressure and your blood sugar level.
To an extent, though. To an extent, because after a while.
Brandon, you got two things going.
I don't want to hear that. Oh, geez, my ears. I have an earbud in. That was terrible. Brandon's in the back apologizing. Oh my God, Brandon!
I thought it was a war of the worlds. The aliens were attacking.
It was a sonic terrorist attack. Somebody get him a Coke. Ugh. You gotta be careful though with doing like the WebMD and the self-diagnose and things like that. Because while you can definitely diagnose some things, there are things that you just need a lab test for. And I've also found that they'll tell you it's a lot worse. And I feel like they do this on purpose on the internet. They'll tell you it's a lot worse than what it really is, so you actually go to the doctor. I'll be like, oh yeah, I got chest pains, and maybe it's just like, ooh, I'm dehydrated, or I just need better sleep or whatever. I just have a cramp or something like that. But then they'll tell me, oh, you probably have some horrible bacteria infection. You should go to the doctor now, or else you're gonna die.
Well, yeah, there's a combination of, things that definitely go on. One is that you've got to kind of really understand, how your body is feeling, because you're the best. Doctors can only work off of what you tell them most of the time. And then, they can do lab tests, but lab tests only show the, like the chemical stuff and so forth. They don't describe really better what's going on in your body. So you need to understand that and really pay attention to yourself. But I agree with you. I mean, there's times that you go to the doctor and they're like, don't worry about it. And there's other times you go to the doctor and you don't think there's anything to worry about. And they're like, oh, you know what? I think you need to go get like 10 tubes of blood taken and we'll see what comes out afterwards. And it's like,
I saw
cow.
This, I was watching, I think it was like 60 Minutes or something like that. That's how I know I'm starting to get older, because I enjoy 60 Minutes now together with my parents. I was watching it with my mother, and it was either that or 2020, one of those kind of shows. And this guy set up, and this was crazy to see. He set up, I want to say, like 20 different dentist appointments over a span of like 2 weeks. Went to all these different dentists, orthodontists, and they all told him different things that he needed done to his teeth. Some of them were all like, oh, yeah, you need braces. Some are like Invisalign. Some are like, oh, you just need a liner for like a little bit. And they just kept telling him all these different things with all of these different prices. It was like when somebody takes a car to an auto shop and they have nothing. They have no knowledge of cars whatsoever. They need an oil change. And the guy's like, you need a new muffler and your axle's bent and this, that, and the other. And you need new brake pads. Like, so definitely,
it's just like
second opinions are nice.
It is, and the thing is, the more that you kind of understand yourself or your car, or like in Bob's case, he understands his bike. I mean, he understands Bullwinkle like nobody else. So when Bullwinkle starts to hiccup or cough or whatever, he can catch it right at the beginning because it's different than what he's used to, and he's been paying attention, and he's almost like at one with his bike. And that's what we need to really be with our body. We need to understand when we start to get some hiccups and think about why. Are we not getting a lot of sleep? Are we not drinking enough? In general, the world is dehydrated. So that's the first thing I always start with. Okay, you need to hydrate. And then from there, if that still hasn't helped, it's like for me, I who kind of understand a good amount of stuff about vitamins and things. I was overdosing on vitamin D for over a year. And it was only about a month ago that I was like, man, I've been in this brain fog. I've been feeling really weird for a long time. And then I look it up and I look at what too much vitamin D is. And I'm like, holy crap. That's what you've been doing. So then I quit doing the vitamin D. It's been a little over a month now. My focus is back. My desire to do things is back. My brain fog is gone. And that was all self-induced by not really doing the proper research that I should have been doing. So
that reminds me, I do need to take my iron today. It's been a couple of days. I'm really good about taking it, and then I'll forget for like 3 days. And I'll start to. That's probably why I've been so tired lately, actually, because I have not been taking my iron supplements. Vitamins are weird because our body needs them really, really bad, but it is so horrible at producing them, like naturally.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of times your body, it's based on the food that you take, and it's based on the combinations of the food that you take.
Yeah.
And when you're starting to take supplements, most of the time you pee them out, but things like vitamin D are fat soluble, so they stay in your body and build up, and that's when you run into challenges. So you need to really kind of understand all that stuff and pay attention. And even when you think oftentimes you don't know. It's weird. I know a doctor who is one of the doctors that review all of the cases that, have questionable, are we going to pay for it? Are we not going to do this type of thing?
Yeah.
He's been on a medication called Synthroid. It's for your thyroid, levothyroxine. He's been on it for years. And it was only like after being on it for over 3 or 4 years, he read the instructions, which said, take before you eat, because that's how it gets into your system. If you eat and then take it, you pretty much dilute it, or you don't get any benefit out of it. So he's a doctor. He's a doctor who reviews what other doctors say, and yet he's taken a drug that is issued almost like candy as well. Levothyroxine. Everybody's got a thyroid issue, and he didn't know how to take it. So, even those that have the knowledge don't always look at the instructions.
So, a thyroid is one of those things where I've grown up hearing about it, but I don't actually remember what it does and if we even need it.
Oh, yeah. You need it.
Okay.
Because your thyroid actually kind of regulates your body's metabolism.
Gotcha.
And I don't know if you've ever heard of goiter, but goiter is this big growth on your throat because your thyroid is in your throat area. And if you don't get enough iodine, which that's why they put iodine in salt originally, is to be able to put iodine back in our bodies, because we don't get really enough natural iodine most of the time. So people used to get this goiter, and the way that it used to be treated is if you got the goiter, it was to go to live near an ocean, because iodine naturally occurs in like ocean water, but it's not naturally necessarily occurring in the salt that you mine from the ground, which is where a lot of like our salt in the US comes from. So they put iodine in there. Anyhow, the thyroid is a very important metabolic and hormonal organ, and it can get burnt out too, like your adrenaline glands. You can burn out your adrenaline glands if you constantly are in high stress for many years. You can
that's
actually
probably
wear
like
it down.
adrenaline junkies have an issue with. People who like to constantly go do like cliff diving and skydiving, cliff jumping, and stuff like that. I feel like their glands get burnt out after a while, and that's why they keep doing crazier and crazier things.
Well, they get kind of hooked on it, almost like an addiction on the feeling. Where a lot of people that have drained their adrenaline are in jobs or in family life or things like that are just constantly high stress situations. And
so it's more like a trickle rather than like a huge boost.
It just burns out over the course of time, and then there are things that you can do to help to bring it back, but it's a long process and it's a challenge. So anyhow, we need to talk about something even more positive than that today. So
well, no, I like where this is going, because it's something that I try to do now and again, like once, and I don't do it very often, but once every couple months, I try to do a completely boring day where I will spend an entire day doing nothing. Like I literally just like sit in a room, no TV, no phone, no books, no anything, and I'll just sit in essentially a prison cell for a day and just make myself as bored as humanly possible. I won't sleep or anything like that. I won't draw, just as bored as humanly possible, because then what that does is once that day is over and I get to go back on my phone or for like a hike or something like that, and I get to like experience the world, it's so much more exciting. And man, I've noticed that it helps my attention span a lot more too. Like I do this specifically when I find myself clicking from a video on YouTube. I'll click a video to watch while I search for a video to watch.
Right.
Like, yeah, like I'll put on like, top 10 Harry Potter spells. I'll click that while I look for something to actually enjoy. Like my attention span is just garbage sometimes. and you need to sit down. You need to reset so that way you can function regularly. You know,
Well,
it's like
yeah, I
I'm
mean,
almost
that's
giving
the whole.
myself ADHD.
That's almost like a meditative state that you go into for that day.
Yeah.
You know, you're really, I mean, meditation is to help to kind of clear your mind and, you know, let your body kind of get rebalanced, regrounded, that kind of thing. And by doing what you were just describing, it was almost exactly what they say to do. You're getting when you meditate, you're kind of going into kind of a nothingness. You're allowing your body to kind of just recalibrate, recharge. And then when you experience life again, it seems a lot brighter. It seems a lot louder. It seems a lot more exciting.
Really quick, let's say hi to the people. We got Mandy Atterbury. She is first. The Breakthrough Show coming through as always.
What's up? Hey,
Bob Seymour, how you doing, brother? And then we got a couple more people, but they have not commented yet. If you want us to say hi, if you want us to say hi, you got to say hi back. Throw a comment down there in the section. We'll pop you up on the screen. It's amazing. Brandon and I, we were playing a game last night while he was driving home. I was eating dinner, and one of the things that we realized is how strangely we are aware of other people, specifically celebrities. We were playing a game last night where we were trying to guess the age of random celebrities. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you and the audience who is watching. Good morning, Neil. How you doing, brother? It's great to see you. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to ask you guys some celebrity names, and I want to see who can get the closest to how old they really are. So the first one that we're going to start out with is Adam Sandler. How old do you guys think Adam Sandler is? And I'm going to look it up because I forget. Go ahead, throw it in the comments section. What do you think, Brett?
I'm thinking that he's within a few years, one way or the other, of my age. So I'm going to guess that he's like 58.
58. We got 58. We got 56 right here. I know his age. I just looked it up. This is one of the ones we looked up last night. Breakthrough Show is saying 54. You got any more comments? Speak now, forever hold your peace. You got 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Adam Sandler is 54 years old. Right on the nose. Breakthrough Show.
He's younger than I thought.
Yeah. I guessed last night. I guessed. I want to say 56 is what I said. I was right there with Neil. So that way I can participate. Brett, give me a celebrity.
Al Pacino.
Al Pacino. Oh, geez, that's a great one. I want to say he's 74. Yeah, that sounds right in my head. 74.
All right. Well, let's see what the audience is. I know how old he is now.
Oh, did you look it up? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I feel like he's about 20 years older than Adam Sandler is. Neil's saying 72. Breakthrough is saying 76. Ooh, we're all in that mid to low 70 range. I like that. All right, you got 5 seconds, people. 4, 3, 2, 1. How old is Al Pacino?
81 years old.
What?
Yeah, he turned 81 this year.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He looks good for 81. Damn.
Yeah, I know.
I need to become famous. That's what I need to do. So that way I can be immortal. That's what I feel like they are. All right. Don't look this one up. I want you to play this one with me. I don't know how old he is. George Clooney. How old do you think George Clooney is?
I got to go back to, I think he's somewhere, let's see, he's probably a little bit younger than me, I think. More like around Julia Roberts. He and Julia Roberts same age, and I don't know either one of them. So I'm going to guess 56.
Really? All right. I'm guessing older. I want to say 69. So you're 56. We got 61, 71, and 59. We're all over the place. All right. Let me look them up really quick. What'd you say again, Brett?
I said 57.
Okay. George Clooney. Damn, he's a good-looking man at 60 years old.
He's 60. Damn, he's
60, yep.
A year
Bob
older
Seymour, Bob Seymour and Jess at the Breakthrough Show were both 1 year off. Ooh, that's a good one. I like that. I remember when I saw him.
71. He was given. He put a decade on him.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully he doesn't find out about that. Then I'm not sure how well he'll take that. I don't know. I remember watching him. I think the first movie that I saw George Clooney in was Dusk Till Dawn with Quentin Tarantino. Did you ever see that movie?
I don't.
It's when they're going to the bar in Mexico and they kidnap that family.
Nope, I don't think I saw it.
It's a wicked movie. You got to check it out. Dusk Till Dawn. I would definitely recommend it. Just not a family movie. Don't watch it with the little ones. The older ones will love it. Definitely want to recommend the kids though. Okay, she has seen it. Yeah, yeah. I remember. I loved that movie, and then I forgot about how sexual a lot of the scenes were in it until I watched it with this girl that I was dating at the time and her parents. And her parents were laughing their ass off like the entire time because it is there's like a lot of cheesy effects in the movie, and there's a lot of like corny stuff in it, and I just felt so awkward and weird because I'd never been in that situation before. I wasn't sure how to like handle it. I felt like felt like a little kid again watching a comedy with my parents, and then there's like a nudity scene, and I was like, oh, this is strange. Yeah. All right. Let's do one more. Give me one more good celebrity.
One of the things that, sometimes we see these actors and actresses, from the time that they're really young and they're playing, adult roles and they've been in movies for a long time. So, even when we're looking at guys like George Clooney, a lot of times, you think back of all the movies and stuff that we've seen him in, and you're like, wow, he's got to be at least this old because he's been in these many movies and been in for so long. But a lot of them just start early, and then we think they've been, around for a lot longer. Yeah.
No, absolutely. That was something that I always had in my head, too, as a kid. Like, I remember always wanting to be an entertainer of some sort. I always wanted to be on a TV show or a musician or whatever. And I remember being a little kid in like the second grade watching Disney Channel and seeing those kids, and they were like my age. I was like, oh, I missed my shot. I can never do that now. I'm too old. Like I'm past my prime. I'm 9 years old. I'm past my prime. My time to be a star is up. If I don't make it now, I'll never make it. It was funny. It was such a ridiculous thing to think, but I remember being so upset about it. It was because I just saw all these child stars all the time. That's what I was exposed to.
Yeah, I mean, even on the Mickey Mouse show back in the old days, and this is even before my time, people used to watch the show just to watch Annette Funicello grow. And it wasn't that she was growing high. She was she was growing her boobs.
Yeah. I was thinking it's funny that you say old school like Mickey Mouse. You're talking about like Steamboat Willie, stuff like that, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, while I was looking up all these celebrities, we'll do one more really quick. Betty White. How old does everybody I know how old she is. How old do you guys think Betty White is? I'll give you a hint. She's older than sliced bread. She is also older than Scotch tape.
I think she's like 97, 98 now.
97, 98. All right. People in the comment section, how old do you think Betty White is? Bob Seymour at 100.
Neil's at 91.
Yep. Regardless, she's seen everything, and that's the point that I'm getting at. I was thinking about Brian Tracy says 99. I'll tell the answer in a moment. I was thinking about the other day. I was like, wow, she was born, approximately. So I don't give away the answer. Approximately 100 years ago, she was born. We got Breakthrough Show also says 99. That seems to be all the people that's been playing so far. So I'm going to go ahead. The answer is 99 years old.
Wow.
She is damn near a century old, born in 1922.
Is she going to be 100 this year, or did she already have her birthday this year? Do you know?
She would be 100 in 2022 because she was born in 1922. So she already had her birthday. Yeah. Yeah, but that's insane. Like, imagine all the different things that she has seen, the different wars, all the different pop culture, all the music that's gone through. She's was in her prime during the 30s, 40s, 50s, or not the 30s, the 40s, 50s, and 60s. That's crazy to think. Like,
yeah, well, you think that she went through World War I. She went through
World War II.
Yeah, and the boom and the bust of the Great Depression, Prohibition, all that kind of stuff. Could you see her originally in like the Flappers dress and things like that?
She could have been chilling with Al Capone. Like, that's insane to think about. Yeah, Al Capone, Bonnie and Clyde, she was there for all that. Like, there's all these documentaries on Netflix. There's a TV show where they keep releasing, like, each season goes through just different decades. And I'm thinking back on it, and I'm like, wow, every one of those that I watched, that are like stuff that like I studied now for fun, she lived in real life. That's bonkers. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
we know what today is, right?
Yeah, today is, I think, the day that you get to show us how the working out works.
Yeah, it is, and I'm doubling up today. I went to the gym. I worked on my chest beforehand, just because I've been slacking a bit this week, and then I'm going to eat a little bit extra and try to do my back later. So today's just a workout day for me. I'm very excited about it. But we got Joe coming in today. We got F Joe, and are you going to join me today, Brett, or am I going to be flying solo?
I think you're flying solo.
That's all right, man. All right. Well, if that's the case, then I don't know about you, but I'm ready to bring him in.
All right, let's bring in F Joe.
Awesome. We'll see you after the session. All right.
All right.
What up, Gavin?
Hey, handsome. What's going on?
I see you're solo dolo today.
Yes, I am. I get special time with Joe today.
Right.
Yeah.
So how's your morning treating you?
It's going really well. I slept outside in my hammock again last night, so that was nice. Yeah. It's been really nice until like 4 or 5 in the morning, and then for whatever reason, I wake up freezing. I have like a blanket. Yep. So I've been spending most of the night out there, and then I'll come inside for like the last hour and a half of sleep or so, and then I get my day started. But I went to the gym this morning, did a nice chest workout, low weight, high reps, so I'm happy about that. And then later, depending on how I'm feeling, I'll probably go do my back as well. I got the day off for the most part, so I'm just going to be spending it eating, cleaning, and doing work.
Nice. Hey, sometimes that's the best way to spend a day, is just kind of get what you have to done, and it makes you feel better overall.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I have the banners over here. I don't. Do you have access to them? I can't remember.
No, I don't have access to anything via StreamYards, but I obviously have the whole document I emailed you guys.
All right. Well, I got Brett in the back. Brett, are you
Yeah, I'll
able to
go ahead
run the
and take
banners
care of
for
that.
me? Awesome. Thank you, brother. Thank you. So today we're doing some
Thanks,
full
Brett.
body workouts. I see. We got some squats. I got some arm stuff,
Yeah, I've
which
been
I'm
letting you
very
guys
happy about.
slack off a little bit without doing a lot of legs. So today we're going to
Yeah.
change that.
Well, I appreciate that because, like I said, today I'm going to be doing a lot of upper body stuff. So it'll be nice to get the lower things going too. And
Let's get
then
it.
I got to prepare for Saturday as well. I got a workout. I got a gym date on Saturday,
Oh, do
and
you?
she's really athletic. She might be more athletic than I am, so I got to make
That's all
sure that
right.
I'm at top performance.
Just
I'm
don't do
excited.
that. Just don't do the typical man thing and like lose self-esteem. Just go with it.
Oh yeah, I don't care about that at all. Honestly, like and in the past I've been with women who are both like taller than me, bigger than me, and stronger than me, and I'm just like, all right, babe, let's go. Like, come on. Yeah, I'm down with that.
So, Gavin, you had a chance to look up the workouts?
I did. I was familiar with pretty much all of them to begin with.
Okay, cool. So for warm-up, we're just going to do the split squats, 2 sets for 30 seconds. Keep it nice and basic. Just that way you guys could still be engaged in the show, but yet we're demonstrating some workouts. Yeah. So I'm going to pull up a timer for you, and then we'll get it going.
Okay, should I put my leg up on the on my chair back here?
No, so for a split squat, you could actually just do it on the ground. We could turn it into a pulse one if you want. I didn't think of that equipment-wise. You would go in a split squat position, and what you do is you pulse up and down.
Okay, cool.
So it's like the same thing, but a little different.
Yeah.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
All right, go ahead.
Who is it?
It's a fact.
It's been a while since I've done. It's been a while since I've done split squats. I remember in when I was doing football in high school, we did Bulgarian split squats with the weight on our shoulder, and it was so much fun to watch and do just because it was so difficult for everybody. Like, I remember seeing people doing, like 2, 3 45s on each side squats, just no problem. And then we switched to the Bulgarian split squats, and it was so difficult. Everyone was using like 25s, maybe 35, or a couple of 45.
That's because you're putting the weight behind your back, which is putting more pressure on your spine. When you can just hold it at the sides, then it's way more functional. And a lot less damaging on your body. But that is the more traditional old school way to do it. And I mean, there's so many variations. It's one of my favorite workouts. But real quick, Gavin, I'm going to start the timer, and then I'm going to read a little bit about the benefits, just because I know the tech stuff's being a little off today, and I appreciate Brett already running the banners. So you can go ahead when you're ready. As soon as you start, I'll start it.
Ready.
All right. So for the split squat, it's normally the Bulgarian split squat, and it's a lower body exercise. It's going to strengthen the muscles of the legs, including the quads, hamstrings, glutes, and calves. Also, as a single leg exercise, your core is focused to work in overdrive to help maintain balance, and then it helps, with your stabilizer muscles because you are doing more of a lead leg at a time.
Yeah, that's the issue that a lot of people used to have. Like, it wasn't so much the weight, it was the balance part.
Oh, absolutely. And you're good.
Awesome.
Yeah, I like to do them with my foot up on a bench because it allows you to get a lower extension and more time under tension. Because it allows you just to go down a little further, and then you can add weights. You could add a jump to the end. There's a bunch of fun things you could do to make it more horrific for yourself.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good fun exercise, and you don't need a lot to do it. So the next one we're going to do pause squats. Same thing. 2 sets for 30 seconds. So, Gavin, just focus on form. Don't focus on trying to get 30 or 40 of them. Just do as many as you can. But the thing with pause squats is I want you to do like a 1 or 2 second hold at the bottom, okay?
Awesome.
All right, you can go ahead. So, ladies and gentlemen, a pause squat's going to benefit everything a squat would, but it follows greater time under tension, or you'll hear in the workout field, TUT. It improves concentric and quad strength, enhanced knee extension strength, and it helps improve all the Olympic lifts like you see in CrossFit, your actual squat, your chest press, your deadlift. It's going to help improve all of those things because you're in that low position. So it's getting your body a little bit more comfortable, helps with movement and athletic performance as well. Plus all the lovely benefits of a squat itself. Oh, Jessica, I say horrific sometimes because I've done some workouts from other trainers and myself where I've thrown up in a bucket. So sometimes the word horrific, so you're good, Gavin.
Cool. Yeah, no, I definitely do like doing things like these because the tendon, I've noticed a tendon in my right knee when I do squats with weight, it feels strained. So I think I just need to rebuild the strength.
Do me a favor, turn sideways for your next set.
Yeah. That's what I planned on doing for the next one.
All right, go ahead. There you go. You got good form. There it is. Yeah, the best way I always tell people to kind of learn form is like don't start with a bunch of heavy weights. Start with your body squats. And the best thing to do is I always tell people, because a lot of people either they round their back or they don't bring their butt back far enough, is just act like you literally have to sit on a little kid's bench behind you. Like you have to drop all the way down to sit on it. And then bring your butt back. And then that helps you from keeping the knees over the toes. And then really from that, you just have to be aware of your back, making sure you're keeping it straight and then building. And then Gavin, you're actually good. Cool. Just because that's 30 seconds. So you have your dumbbells I see in the background.
I do.
The next curl is probably one of my favorites. It's a little unorthodox, but it hits different parts of the bicep muscles. You're only going to need one of those for the next one.
Gotcha.
Okay. Did you look up the waiter's curl?
Yeah, isn't it just with my palm
Nope,
facing
so you're
outward?
actually put both hands under the actual plate. So you're going to grab them like this, Gavin.
Okay.
And what you're going to do is you're going to curl up. And then as you curl up, you don't want to bring your wrists in. You want to keep your hands straight like you're holding a platter. And then and then bring your forearms up like this.
Oh.
Yep. And that's how you properly do a waiter's curl. Most people actually curl in at the end, but you want to keep your hands straight as you can to force your bicep muscle to do the work. So we'll count those as 2. You got 8 more. There you go. Yeah, it just hits the inside of the head a little bit. So the waiter's curl, specifically the movement is a grip manipulation to really work your biceps by resting the top vertical dumbbell on your palms rather than gripping the sides. Your maximum tension for your bicep and is less on the forearm. So the whole point of doing it the correct way is you're going to put a lot less stress on the forearm, so those muscles aren't cheating to help you achieve the exercise and actually making your bicep work. So it's a good isolation exercise. Yeah.
No, I definitely do feel it in the center of my biceps, specifically when I have that flex there.
Just got the Rafiki Lion King lift. I like that. That's fantastic.
The circle of life.
So, Gavin, I'll let you take the amount of rest you want as soon as you're ready. We're going to do another set of 10, and then we'll move on to the other exercise.
Yeah, I'm good.
There you go. Bring it all the way down. Up. Yep, you got it. Yeah, it's kind of one of those exercises, once you learn the form, it's real easy. It's just like the first couple reps take you a little bit to feel it and get comfortable. And then obviously for all the ladies and gentlemen working out there, this one you're probably going to go a little less weight than a traditional curl until you get used to the form, and then you can gauge the appropriate weight to what feels comfortable for you, as well as pushing yourself to make sure that you are getting a challenge.
Whew.
Yeah, now try to keep your hands straight when you come up. Yep, so it's kind of like you're up like this, and then you come in and just kind of like you're a waiter, just holding like drinks. Just remember that. You got to try to balance that plate the entire time.
Yeah.
There you go. Very nice.
That is a really good isolation workout. I like that a lot.
It's just a good little something different to throw in the mix in a bicep workout, because there's so many traditional workouts for biceps that people love doing that you see that are really common. Nothing wrong with any of those. They work. They're common for a reason, right? Things are cliche for a reason. But that one's a good, one to throw in there, kind of surprise your body a little bit. It's all about muscle confusion and trying different things. So the next one, very traditional workout, dumbbell overhead press. So Gavin, you might want to go on your knees for this one, because I know you're a little taller. I don't know where your ceiling is. So just simple 2 dumbbells, and we're just going to press up. I was nice enough not to include the pinch at the end and hold, so you're welcome. And then go ahead, just 10 reps. So overhead press is going to strengthen and size your shoulder muscles. and it's also going to help work the tricep muscles and then the traps or the trapezius, as you often hear them called. So it's strength into the core muscles if you do it standing or kneeling like Gavin's doing, because it's requiring him to balance and engage his core for breathing. Your obliques, your abdominal muscles, lower back, spinal stabilizers, all while performing the exercise standing. If you do this exercise while sitting with some back support, which is perfectly okay, and it is a little safer if you're a newer lifter, you're not going to get as much of the last benefit of all that stabilizing support, your lower back, all of that. But standing is where you're going to engage your core to make sure you breathe and balance. So you get a little extra benefits.
Yeah, and for those watching me right now, do not be fooled by the large-looking weights. They're only 30 pounds a piece. They just look fancy because they're easy to take apart.
Hey, whatever works, right?
Yeah.
So when you're ready, Gavin, you're going to knock out the next set of that. And then we're going to do an exercise I had you do before, which I was really hoping I can get Brandon to do. But I know he's busy today. He's got some stuff going on. So obviously we always want to, wish him the best in whatever he's going through. I know he's got some big decisions and stuff he has to work through today. So we're all here to support him. But right now you're here to work out for him.
Yeah. Put in that work. I love it.
All right, get your other set on the way. Let's go. 10 reps. Just keep breathing. Try to keep your balance. There you go. There you go. Keep breathing. Very nice, Gavin.
Nice. Thank you. One thing that I want to also tell to people, it doesn't matter how much or how little weight you're doing. What matters is how much work you are putting in. Somebody who can lift 100 pounds in each arm over their head could be doing the same amount of work as me, only doing 30 pounds. It's just all relative strength.
It's extremely true.
So,
I mean, I always it takes a long time to learn that in the gym, just because egos are a thing, and it's especially hard. I feel when you're younger than it is when you're older. Because when you're older, you've been injured before, so you're like, I don't care. I'm doing what I can to get the results I can, rather than I'm going to try to lift with somebody that's 30 and I'm 19 years old, and they've been doing it for 10 years.
Yeah. But I learned that from my one coach in high school, because he saw guys who were, jacked, and they were on the football team, they were wrestling, they were really big. But then when it came into weightlifting classes, sometimes they'd slack off, and they were doing heavy weight, but not for them. And he'd get in their face about it. I'm like, that's what it means. That's why I'm here, to bust my ass.
Oh, absolutely. So you're going to do walking push-ups. I know I had you do those before. Just going to do 2 sets of 10, just like the weights. So take a second to get up. But yeah, one of the most important things when you're beginning lifting weights and you're not really just doing HIIT and cardio exercises is do a weight that is at first comfortable. And I would honestly say more light until you learn the exercise with proper form. Once you have the form down to make sure you're going to prevent injuries and get the most out of the workout, then that's where you want to start challenging yourself and find out where your max is or your levels at. Because you don't want to go light all the time if it's easy, because working out's not supposed to be easy. Yeah. But at the same time, you don't want to get too heavy and yourself.
Yep.
You ready for some walking push-ups?
I am, but I cannot remember, how do I count these? Is each push-up one, or is stepping to the side once I get to center, is that one?
For the sake that you already worked out today, we'll just do each push-up as one.
Okay. Sounds good.
And then I'll go over what walking push-ups do. Full body strength exercise. So it's going to do the same benefits as a standard push-up, and that's going to work on your arms, chest, while also strengthening your core. And in this exercise specifically, if we did it a little longer in a traditional workout rather than just for the show, is really, really going to help kind of work cardiovascular, and kind of can be thrown in a HIIT exercise, because you are moving or engaging a little faster than just going up and down. If you're able to achieve this exercise as well, be proud of yourself. It is more of an advanced exercise, not necessarily the hardest thing to do form-wise, but it's not the easiest to do, engaging all your muscles, balancing, and then keeping coordination. So you should understand.
It definitely does have some cardio. Yeah.
Did you take advantage of me reading?
No.
I'm kidding.
Hey, cheating you is cheating myself, okay?
That's what I always tell people. They're like, oh, I'm like, I don't care. I'm like, you're hurting you, not me. So do what you want.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
No, that
You got
definitely.
one.
I do like that one because it does have some cardio into
Yeah.
it, especially because you want to be fluent with it.
Well, what's nice too is if you're in a bigger space, you can just go all the way down like 10 to the right and then 10 back to the left. And then, back 5. That's what I used to do. If I had a lot of space, I would just go to the right 10 times, back to the left 10 times. And then I would do like 5 and 5, just so that way it's balanced.
Nice.
You ready for your last set, sir?
Yeah.
I know you got it in you. Come on.
Oh yeah.
Just think they're fancy push-ups, like when people drink something with their pinky up. This is
This is the pinkies outs equivalent of push-ups.
Exactly. And I 100% agree with Jessica. I know personal training sometimes can be expensive, especially at gyms. But if you do have some serious injuries, obviously go physical therapy, do your research. There are certain trainers that actually specifically focus on injuries and recovery. So if you could find one that focuses a lot on injuries and not just so much cosmetics too, highly recommend doing so. How you feeling?
I feel good. I'm very glad that I have my fruit smoothie and my oatmeal yogurt.
There you go. Well, good news is now we're going to do abs. So we're going to see how thankful you are for all those foods.
Awesome.
So leg raises, real simple exercise. You know how to do those? I would probably turn to the side for this one, Gavin.
Yeah.
If you have the space. There you go. So this is just going to be leg all the way up, and then keep your core tight, legs all the way down. Yep. And then I just have you doing 10 of these instead of a timer. And what leg raises do is they help lose weight from the legs and lower abdomen, and they tone, strengthen muscles in your abdomen and legs, and effective lower ab exercise. So your abs, you have your top, your middle, and your bottom. Certain exercises are going to engage all of them, and then some are going to engage top, middle, bottom. So keep your legs straight and just bring them straight up. Stop. Yep, you don't want to go all the way in, and then back down, hold, and go up. And what's really nice about this exercise is you could technically do it laying in bed.
That is true. It'd be a little more difficult for me because I have Tempur-Pedic mattresses, so my butt sinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a more advanced one. It's kind of what you're doing where you bring your body hips up into it, and then the legs go up even further. Harder to do, a little more advanced. Generally, I tell people you kind of need to be sitting on a bench for that. Unless you have extremely good balance and can posture up, but then you put a lot of pressure on your neck on the ground. So I always try to make sure people are careful. But you could start off your second set whenever you're ready because it's not timed. The next exercise will be timed. This is just going to be 10 more of those.
Yep.
If it makes you feel better, Gavin, I'll probably do at least 5 sets of 10 of those today.
Oh, you're good. One of the exercises, one of like my warm-ups that I learned in weightlifting.
On your way up. There you go.
That's one thing I always had trouble with was keeping them straight.
And just, anytime you do an ab exercise, just keep that core engaged. Anytime you're standing and lifting weights, try to keep your core engaged. You don't have to do it super, super tight, but I always tell people at least try to keep it engaged because it's going to indirectly help build that core, get you used to the feeling, the balance, and the breathing. Very nice. Good job.
Whew. Yeah.
So the last exercise we're going to do, we'll talk about it for a second, then we'll get you going, is scissor kicks. So that's going to be left to right on like flutter kicks, which are up and down. So scissor kicks are leg over, leg under. Flutter kicks are up and down. Very similar exercises. And then, you know what? I'll even go into what it does so that way I can time you, Gavin, and then you can start. It's going to work core muscles, glutes, quads, and your abductors, engaging your core muscles, which allows you to flutter your legs up and down or left to right. The core muscles include, your rectus abdominis, your obliques, and then your top abs and your hip flexors. So this is going to hit a lot of the very similar parts. I always like to do that with abs. I like to do 2 that are hitting lower, 2 that are hitting middle, and then 2 that are hitting upper. And I like to superset that way just to kind of double engage. But sir, when you are ready, you are more than welcome to get started.
All right.
And Gavin, if you want, you can kind of sit in a C position too, like and post up a little bit. Yep.
You said this is timed?
Yeah, I got you, buddy. You got about more time than you probably want. But good news is we're only doing 2 sets, so you only got to survive, like a minute of these. Just breathe. Legs up and over. So one leg's going to go over the other one. There you go. Yeah, and you can stop. We'll do it for the next one.
Yeah. Whew.
I highly recommend this, and then people don't believe me. Sit up during your break instead of staying down. That one sit up generally hurts, but I've noticed if like you stay down, this is me personally. If I stay down for a couple of sets, I go do it, like it just gets worse. Like to where if I come up and kind of just breathe and feel normal and then go back down, it doesn't hurt as bad on the next set as far as like recovery. To where if I stay down for 4 or 5 sets, like I struggle getting up afterwards, like big time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not so much like the lifting that makes me sweat, but like stuff like this, like really engaging any kind of cardio is where I can start getting sweaty.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too. There, like a lot of people make judgment off of. There are people of all shapes and sizes, obviously, and just because someone looks fit or is skinny, it doesn't mean that they have good cardiovascular health. Which is why I always tell people, like, I know when you're trying to gain muscle and weight, like you want to limit it, but you should always do something because you're not doing it for the fat burn or the calorie burn, but you're doing it for your heart. Because I mean, who doesn't want to be able to at least run down the street if they have to, or run up and down the stairs?
Absolutely.
Being winded after doing household activities, for me personally is embarrassing for myself. So I need to at least be fit enough to do things around the house. Now, am I going to go run like a 10K? Absolutely not. You know what I mean?
Well, I realized how important and how much I need to continue working on cardio when I went to the gym with my little brother Aiden one time, because he is a phenomenal little prodigy, full kit drummer, double bass and everything.
What the best part of this is, Gavin? You're going to tell me the story while you finish your workout, and it will make those 30 seconds go by much faster.
So he is a phenomenal drummer, and he uses a full kit, double drums and everything. And we went to the gym together, and I was lifting probably 2-3 times as much as him on the exercise, depending on the exercise.
Right.
But we got on the treadmill, and I'm running at like 6.5, 7, comfortable, keeping steady pace. He's at like a 10 or an 11, just flying past me without breaking a sweat, just because he drums all the time.
And you're good.
But yeah, so he definitely kicked my ass when it came to cardio, and that's why I started to realize, man, I need to start running more.
Honestly, it's not there's a lot of different fun alternatives too, because let's be honest, most people hate running unless they learn to like it or they could tolerate it. It's kind of boring to them. It's repetitive. Like, I feel if you're able to run or jog or even walk outside, like, nature's a beautiful thing. It's a change of scenery. Treadmills kind of get boring, but some people, you listen to your audiobooks or read while on a treadmill. I don't know how people read on it. I've seen them do it. I can't do it. It's too bouncy. My eyes start hurting trying to focus. But God bless those people that can, do like a level 8 sprint and then hold their book and read it. They're on a different level than me. Obviously, music's great. I always just try to stay busy when I'm doing cardio, but you have other great forms, right? You have HIIT exercises. That's different. You have punching bags. So for people that like to get out some aggression or just, want to hit a bag instead, you can do a lot of those. Battle ropes, awesome new invention. Works a lot of part of your bodies, gets your cardiovascular going well. I mean, you have ellipticals, you have bikes. For people that love doing outside stuff, get on a bike, rollerblades. And you don't have to run or sprint. You can walk too. It might take you a little longer, but that's okay. As long as you're working your heart, that's fine, because we all start somewhere different than everywhere else. So it's no big deal. Just remember, you compete with yourself, not the people around you.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing to, I think that's the hardest pill to swallow. You get in, especially if you start out younger, you get in like a gym class and like that. You got your friends, you're all competitive. You all want to be the best, want to be the top dog. You want to impress the girls or the guys or whatever your deal is. And you just get stuck in that head of, I need to be better than everybody else rather than I need to be better than me yesterday.
Right. And you know what? When you're young, it's not a complete bad thing to compete with your friends because you help motivate each other and drive each other. Like when I was younger, I couldn't stand going to the gym by myself because I was in sports my whole life. So I was always used to that team camaraderie. So it was really nice in the gym. Like, oh, he did 50 pounds on like a tricep pull down. I'm going to do 55. And, we stayed safe because coaches would, make sure of it. But it was that nice competitive drive. But at the same time, like, it helped me get to a level I probably wouldn't have tried on my own if no one was watching. Yeah. But now that I'm older and no more, like, there's no ego. Like, I make sure I challenge myself in the gym, and that's good enough for me. If someone wants to come up and say something, well, I really don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's, if you're a bodybuilder, good for you. Or if you're a strongman, good for you. If you're a lady competitor and can deadlift 300-400 pounds, like that's impressive, but like good for you. Not every girl's going to want to do that.
Yeah, definitely. How much would you say diets for like, tell us a little bit about the diet for each person. I know I eat very different than you or Brandon does. I have friends. Yeah.
It's kind of like Jessica said, right? Like her second last comment, and she goes, as the same goes for larger people, I get so many comments for not being skinny, question my health, and even truly plant-based, and no one knows how much, for working for the shift outside. So I have an aunt who has a very bad thyroid problem, and she's definitely heavier set, and she's not really able to do a lot of workouts due to her heavy set and job and family, but she probably eats healthier than almost anybody I personally know. And it's just, you have to think there's genetics involved, there's body type involved, there's hereditary issues, and then there's whatever personal health issues, injuries. Like that's just 5 things on one hand. So, that's why I always tell people, like, just challenge yourself and battle with yourself. Don't worry about everybody else, because some people are lucky and blessed enough not to have any issues. And some people have maybe double what you do, and you'd be surprised what they've achieved, which is, I always think, very motivating to find people that have went through similar things. Like it's hard to find someone that has the exact checklist you do, like word for word, but there's, like, people are never alone. There's always hundreds of thousands of people like you that are having very similar struggles. So that's why I always tell people, just, challenge yourself. Don't worry about competing with someone else.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I totally agree with that. Like, I know for me, I was always really small growing up. I was always like really skinny, really short. Eventually I did get some height to me, and I have put on a little bit of muscle from when I first started. Like, I think when I first started working out with the football team was right when I started hitting puberty. And so in a span of like,
you just started lifting then.
Oh, it was crazy. And in the span of like probably 3 months, I grew, I want to say maybe 4 inches and gained about 30 pounds. And it was all muscle
all
too.
your clothes and pants were very thrilled.
Yeah, they were. Well, I always wore really baggy clothes anyway, because my birth father listened to like a lot of Limp Bizkit growing up. So I wore like band shirts that were 3 times too big.
I'm a 90s baby, pants. So you don't got to tell me about baggy pants.
Yeah, you already know, man. You already know.
The white tee, the baggy pants, the chain wallet.
Yep.
Like,
I was like, this is what it feels like to fit in this.
The Janko jeans with like the crazy logos that take up a whole butt cheek.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember all that.
So before we move on to our next segment, I want to say once again, thank you for being here and teaching us, helping keeping us motivated, working us out. What is one thing that you would like to leave with the viewers before you go out?
I will make it a little different today, just so Brandon can smile and giggle. I will not do the typical one I do on the H, because I will do that this evening. Honestly, I just want everyone to try to engage in a healthy lifestyle and find out the type of fitness and diet and nutrition that works for them. It doesn't need to be extreme. Just make the effort. Just make the effort. That's all it really takes. And that's just for everyone, because I hear so many stories and people not knowing where to start, or people, we look to celebrities way too often. And that's a horribly toxic thing to do to yourself, because that's comparing yourself to people that make money based on how they look. Not everyone could do that. So just try, just make the overall effort. And I think that's a great place to start. And then once you get into it, you can give yourself a lot harder goals and challenges, but at least start there. But Brett, good seeing you as always, sir. I hope you have a wonderful day. I know we didn't get to talk much, so have a good rest of the show. I'm sure I'll catch a little bit of it at the gym. Gavin, thanks for being a good sport as always. Chat,
absolutely.
All of you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys tonight for the H.
Hey, Gavin.
Take care, brother.
Before we go to the guest, I want to kind of bring in what you and Joe just got through doing, and actually part of One Square at a Time, because we actually posted Superman, which kind of goes along with Gavin Kerr today. And Superman is now out and the YouTube, and I will also put it in the chat so everybody can find that. But it was something that Brandon and I actually recorded back in January. It applies as much today as it did back then. And tomorrow when we do is today Wednesday? Yeah. Tomorrow when we do the live interactive version, we'll be going over some of the superpowers that you might not recognize that Superman demonstrated to us and that we can use in our everyday life and leadership. So wanted to bring that out to everybody's attention and give credit for Gavin Kerr, who performed well as Superman today.
Oh, I'm no Superman, but I appreciate the compliments. Speaking of somebody with great power, we have a former professional disc golfer and world record holder with entrepreneurship and consulting experience. He has earned 17 world and national disc golf titles during his professional career as an athlete. He's a lifelong entrepreneur and author, loves to teach. Aside from disc golf coaching, he loves to also share his knowledge of marketing and entrepreneurship. He published his autobiography in January 2020, which follows his life as a touring professional athlete as it paralleled the origins and growth of disc golf sports. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the one and only Scott Stokely. Hey, oh, you're muted. There we go. Wait, one sec. You're muted there.
Yeah, can you unmute?
You gotta
yourself,
unmute. Hit the microphone, Scott. There we go.
All right.
How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Let me know if we're having connection problems. I just moved. We're at a hotel. We travel full time.
Yeah.
So hotel, and we were getting bad. The hotel Wi-Fi wasn't working, so I'm trying last second. Sorry.
Gotcha. You're good. You're completely fine. Trust me. Being here at doing a live show, we experience technical difficulties all the time. All last week, I was having some internet issues. Brandon's had some internet issues. Brett's had them before. It all happens to the best of us.
Right. Well, so what I've learned from my years of watching podcasts is that if it's a live broadcast, always wear pants.
Always wear pants. I like to follow that rule sometimes.
I weren't wearing pants.
Yeah, you never know when you stand up and then all of a sudden you realize,
Yeah. I try to wear them just because my camera likes to fall down.
All right.
So where are you at in the world today, Scott?
So we are in somewhere near Cleveland. That's usually about as good as I do. I know where my events are scheduled, but in between events, I try not to pay attention. I have someone with me that does all the logistics. I just kind of go to the hotel that she sends to my GPS. But somewhere near.
Do you have an event in Cleveland?
I did yesterday, and then tomorrow. And then tomorrow I'm in Pittsburgh.
Brandon and I are in Cleveland. I'm right outside of Cleveland right now. I wish you would have known because I wasn't doing much yesterday. I would have loved to come to your event. How did it go?
I'm not even Let me switch to the Wi-Fi again. Give me half a second, guys. I'm so sorry.
Gotcha. You're good. You're good.
If I knew you were in Cleveland, I could have sat right next to you and then connected to the Wi-Fi there.
Yeah, right, you could have came over.
Fingers crossed.
Okay.
Crossing the fingers. I need everybody in the comment section.
The joys of live television. It's not even connecting. I'm going to try one more time. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no
it's
problem.
Okay.
Let's try again. It's connecting, but it's not giving me the confirmation screen, which means it's actually connecting.
Right. We can hear you, but we can't see you.
Oh, gosh. I'm so sorry, fellas.
Hey, worst case scenario,
right. We
understand. We still run it as a podcast, kind of.
Yeah, as long as we can hear them.
All right, live. This is the joys of live television, right?
It's all right. We understand. Trust me. All last week, I was just going insane. My computer wasn't working. My TV wasn't working. My phone wasn't working. Nothing I was using was connecting.
Yeah. Is that any better?
It's a bit better. We can hear you for the most part.
Oh God.
It's like an old phone commercial. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Oh, the breakthrough show. The tech gremlins are real today. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. They've taken out 2 of us so far. Brett and I seem to be, Joe as well, seeming to be safe from them for now.
For now,
as long as nobody feeds them or gets them wet, they shouldn't multiply or grow any more vicious.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
That was that movie. The first one, I absolutely loved it, and the second one, I loved it as a child, but was very, very confused as an adult watching it. Just because as a kid, I loved that they had all the different kinds of gremlins. They had all the weird different monster versions, and I was like, oh, this is so awesome. These are so cool, how creative. And then as an adult, I watched it again. I was all like, why? These don't make sense to me.
I don't know,
got bored in the room.
Scary. It was like having my little cuddly toy all of a sudden turn into something that's going to bite me. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is traumatic.
All right, now, but would you get one if you could? If you went to some store underground in Chinatown and this man had Gizmo, would you buy him?
My brother's girlfriend has a dog that looks a lot like him. And as long as they stay in that cuddly little form, yeah, I would get it. But if it's going to go crazy on me, I think I will hold off on that. I don't know if I can handle, like I say, give me the nightmare when you have this little cuddly toy that you can cuddle up with as you're going to sleep. And then you wake up in the middle of the night and you see these sharp teeth looking right at you. I'm not sure.
You know what is interesting to me too? In the movie, they would say, don't feed them after midnight because then they turn into, the big gremlins. What's the time frame though? Is it just from midnight to when the sun comes up, or is it just for that first hour? I was always curious on how long after midnight until you can feed them again.
I don't know. I think that it would probably be more than an hour though.
Yeah. I feel like maybe 5, 6 o'clock. Then you're allowed to start feeding them again. Yeah, when the sun rises. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe they just have to be fed with sunlight. Maybe they just can't be fed in the dark.
Hi, Scott. I see you again.
Hey, there you are. How you doing?
I apologize to all the viewers that we just lost. I just I switched phones that has a different cell. We have 2 phones with different cell carriers on purpose for this.
Yep.
So this solves it.
Nice. Oh, you're fine. We didn't lose any viewers. We've been talking about the movie Gremlins this whole time.
The original Gremlins?
Yeah. The little with Gizmo and everything.
Yeah, it's the most amazing movie in the entire world for about an hour. And then for 6 minutes, Phoebe talks about her dad dying. And it's the most depressing movie ever. And then it gets awesome again. Right? It's the strangest movie ever. It is the weirdest 6 minutes randomly in any movie ever. But anyways.
I completely forgot about that, probably for good reason, but thank you for reminding me.
Yes.
Yeah, well, it should be
the first movie in history where the director's cut on the DVD extras takes part of the movie out, not adds more.
Yeah. I like it. Well, I was talking about how much I loved the first movie, and then the second movie, how much I loved as a kid, but was confused as an adult because they added on all those weird mutations to each one. They just got bored in the meeting room. They're like, let's just do this and that and just have fun with it. Who cares? The first one made so much money. The second one's going to make even more.
Right. Cash grab. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely fun. So now that we've got you here, tell us a little bit. How'd you get into disc golf, and how'd your event go yesterday?
The event went great. I started playing disc golf on the world's first course when it was the only course in the world. There's now somewhere approaching between 12 and 15,000 courses. I mean, it's growing so rapidly. You know, the 12 to 15 million players worldwide. It's insane.
Yeah.
I started at ground zero at this game. I was the first like permanent junior member of the world's first disc golf club.
You're like a founding father.
I was, except that I take no credit for the creation of the sport. I was just a kid, but I was a founding viewer. I got to watch the sport grow around me.
Yeah.
Because this puts
That's
it back
amazing.
in like the 1980s, right?
70. The course went in 75, 76.
75, 76. Wow.
Yep.
So were you just kind of like a bored teenager thinking, this seems like fun, I'll try this out for a bit, and then just got hooked with it?
No.
Well,
I was only
only
7 the first time I played. It was a course that was like 7 miles from my house, so I didn't get to go very often as a little kid, unless my mom took me to that park. But when I was 11, I moved to the town. I moved to a very rich, conservative, white, very rich suburb of Los Angeles. And I was not raised in that environment or world. I was an outsider because I came from a very blue collar, you know, my dad owned a trucking company. Like I didn't fit in. And the course was not in that rich, white, conservative suburb. It was right across the street in a park that all the people in my town would never let their kids go to, because it was a park where people would hang out and, you know, relax after a hard day's work in the park. And there was a lot of the hippie culture was still prominent back then. But
they would hang out, smoke pot, stuff like that.
In the early days, that's what it was. Yeah. And so I fit into those people with those people, not the people in my town. And so I loved the game, but that's where I liked spending my time. I didn't have a lot of friends in my town, but all the people that played the sport were my friend.
Yeah. That's awesome. I've noticed that that tends to be a sort of a stereotype of the culture too. Is that sort of like that hippie kind of vibe as well? Do you get a lot of that in the professional league, or is that more like kids in college, or kind of that sort of stereotype?
Yeah, so not on the tour. You'll never see any of that on tour. I mean, things exist everywhere. On the PGA Tour, people go back to their hotel rooms and do what they do, right? But as far as the environment, it is absolutely not a part of the professional tour. On a recreational level, it's a place where people can go relax. No different than ball golf, no different than bowling, no different than any other recreational activity. You're going to have people that they just put their 9 hours in. They want to relax after a day, which is great. But that's not a part of the sports culture. It's our sports culture is that we welcome all types, including that. But everyone plays nowadays. I mean, nowadays there is no demographic. The last tournament I played was on the property of a church, which has become very common. So we played a tournament on church grounds, a sanctioned PDJ tournament. It's all types now.
No, I've definitely noticed that. I know quite a variety of people who play disc golf, and it does seem to be one of those rare sports that doesn't have a specific demographic to it. I think that's really special, because it does allow people to congregate and bring each other together, similar to how you're like going to the park or the bar or something like that would, where it's kind of an everybody environment. What was it like watching this grow? Because you said you were about 7 years old, and in a sense you've grown up with it. So seeing the evolution of this sport become what it is today, from just a hobby to hang out with friends to now being a world acknowledged professional sport.
Yeah, so it's really been a wild ride, because everyone that played it, like, we all knew it was coming. We were just wrong because we thought it was coming next week.
Right?
Yeah.
But we knew how much fun it was. The reason for the sports growth, I mean, the last year, COVID had a big part of it. It's an outdoor activity. You're outdoors. You can actually, keep to your bubble. So if you have a family that is, quarantining from the rest of the world, they can play together. So it's affordable, right? At a time when people were losing their jobs or fearful over it. It's something they could, do. So it blew up in the last year. But before that, the reason the sport blew up, the reason it grew every year, it was just a mathematical algorithm. That's all it was. The percentage of people that tried it and enjoyed it and wanted to play again was a pretty high percentage. The percentage of those people that moved out of town that said, wait, I don't have disc golf in my town, and they worked to get a disc golf course put in, was at a percentage where growth was happening faster than people were dropping out. And that's all it was. It was so enjoyable that people joined and kept playing the sport at a faster rate than people got tired of it and quit. So it grew like 12 to 15% every year for 45 years, virtually without exception. I don't know if we've had a single year where PDJ membership was down. It's just been a steady growth. And then COVID hit, and then all of a sudden now it's just insane. But it's been coming all along. But we thought it was going to happen next year. For like every year, we thought next year was our year.
When I first kind of learned about the concept and stuff, we didn't have a course around it in college, but we kind of used it almost like an outdoor beer pong. So at each hole, you'd have to drink a beer. So it was more of a drinking game than it was a competitive game at the time that I was, because that was college, high school and college for me.
Yeah. So the thing about disc golf and why, like what you're saying is fantastic. The thing that's great about disc golf, it's not what's great about disc golf. It's what's great about the sport of golf, period.
Yeah.
Golf, the game of golf is the greatest game in the entire world. I mean, there's a reason why professional athletes in every major sport, what do they do in their off season or when they retire? They don't all
go golf.
They go golf, right? Golf is the greatest sport in the world. And disc golf offers every single thing that ball golf does. And as we know with ball golf, there are 100 different reasons why people play. It could be because your doctor told you that you need to get exercise twice a week. It could be because you like to go out and drink at lunch at the office. It could be because you like competitive play. You like challenging yourself. You enjoy nature. You like to get away from the kids. Like there's endless reasons, and disc golf offers every single one of those exact same reasons without exception. And it offers two things that ball golf doesn't offer as much of. One is that it's more affordable. The barrier to entry in disc golf is the $20 set of discs that you can play with all year. Once you get into it and become obsessed with it, then you start spending money. And when you want to get good at it, you invest in better equipment like anything else. But that's not required to play the game. You can go out and play for free or a couple bucks around. So it's accessible. And the other thing that doesn't get talked about as much is that as beautiful as ball golf courses are, I mean, they're almost always on a beautiful piece of property. Disc golf courses on those identical types of properties, rolling grass hills, beautiful giant trees, manicured fairways. But in addition to that, we are in the mountains, we're in the desert, we're on ski slopes, we're in old landfills that have been converted. So there's a variety of terrain that you can also get in disc golf. There's no such thing as what a disc golf course looks like. There's disc golf courses everywhere. So there's a little bit more variety and more accessible, but none of this is we never think of being superior to golf. Golf is the best sport in the world. We're just another way to play golf.
Absolutely. I got a question here from the comments section. Is it acceptable for me to ask others if I can play with them at a course, or should I come with my own discs? I'm going to add on to that. What is some of the proper disc golf etiquette?
So the best thing you can do, first off, it's always acceptable to ask a group if you can join them. That is just we're social creatures, humans, right? So that is a way of socializing. Unless someone's out there for a specific reason, 98% of the time they're going to say yes. If you go out to a tournament or a course where there's a pro in town to play, to compete, they may not want that only because they're actually focused on learning the course and training. Not because they're superior to you, but this is their job. But most people welcome that. The best thing you can do is come out to a league night. Go to the Facebook page. If you live in Peoria, Illinois, that random city name, search for Peoria Disc Golf on Facebook. There's going to be a Facebook page. And just post, hey, I'm interested in this game. What do I do? You'll get a ton of replies. Come on out. Here's where you can buy a couple discs. We have league night on Tuesday night. Every league is set up probably first and foremost to bring in new players. So that is what they want to happen at every league night. We're trying to grow the sport. So you are welcome on any course in the country. like 100%. But I think league nights are usually, or club functions are usually what they're more set up for that.
Yeah. Yeah. I know there's so there's two different kinds of discs, if I'm correct. There's a driver and a putter, and they're very different on how you throw them as well. Do you want to describe us a little bit on the exact technique that you use for throwing these different discs?
So there's actually a far wider range of discs. The categories, there's multiple categories of discs. Drivers, approach discs, mid-ranges, drivers, long-range drivers. But within each of those categories, they have different flight characteristics. The reason why we need different flight characteristics is you typically won't play disc golf on like a ball golf type of course. It has a terrain that resembles that course, but you're not going to have a fairway that's 80 feet wide or 100 feet wide. Those aren't even obstacles because they're just not in play. Rough isn't in play on the ground. High grass doesn't really matter. So we are going to have a lot more obstacles on the course, which means flying discs can fly many different ways. They don't just fly up and down with a slight curve. They go every direction imaginable. So you can build fairways that have trajectories that vary wildly. They go out, they turn left, they go straight again, they turn left again for hundreds of feet, 5, 6, 7, 800 feet, par 3s, 4s, 5s. So you can't have a disc that does all those flight characteristics. So you have to choose the disc that flies with a trajectory that matches the trajectory of the hole best as possible. And then you have to execute that disc with the right speed, the right angle, the right nose direction to make the disc actually do what it's supposed to do. So there's no real like cookie cutter answer to like how you do it. It's you are examining the hole and solving the problem with the equipment that you have at hand.
Huh. So now, do you hold? You have a Guinness record, correct?
I don't. I had the record. I had actually a bunch of Guinness World Records. I had the record in 1995 for the longest throw of a flying disc, longest, which we used to call frisbees, but the longest throw of a flying disc at 656 feet 6 inches. I broke my own record at 693 feet 3 inches in 1998. That's with a traditional backhand delivery, the way you would think about how you would throw a frisbee pulled across your body. In 2001, I set the world sidearm record, which is the one where you throw like a sidearm pitcher in baseball at 568 feet. But all of those records have been broken since. Technology has improved and the sport has evolved as well. So between those two things, the records are always temporary.
Gotcha. Have you thought about going back and trying to break those records again, or are you like, you know what, I put my name in there. It's in the stone now. At one point, I'm perfectly fine with it.
So imagine here. I'll answer it like this. Imagine a track and field athlete who has the 100-meter dash record at 51 years old, thinking they're going to go back and reset the record. Like you're not. Like you're still going to be competitive. You're still going to go out and maybe smoke the local high school kids. You don't lose everything, but you can't compete with people at their athletic peak anymore. And that's what world records are. That's the pinnacle of the athleticism of your sport. So there's no chance.
Fair enough. I can appreciate that. Acknowledging that self-awareness, though, that's important to do, so you don't drive yourself crazy with it.
Oh yeah, you ever heard the expression? The only person who's never lost a sporting event is Father Time. Father Time wins.
I like that.
A friend of mine, he's golfing. He's like 89 years old now, and he's still golfing. And he's like, I don't try to outdrive anybody. I just go. I know I'm going to go straight 150, maybe 200 yards, and I go straight 150. And he's still shooting like in the 80s and 90s. And I'm like, holy crap, you're 89 years old and you can still do it. But instead of trying to impress everybody with how far you can throw it, you're impressing everybody by how consistent you are.
Yeah. So I basically have made the announcement that I'm going back out on tour next year. I'll be the oldest player on tour at 52 years old, who's actually just hitting the tour. When I ended, we have player rankings, would be like handicaps in ball golf, something similar. When I ended last year, I was the second highest rated 50-year-old or 50 and older player in the world. at the end of last year, my ranking will put me on the Pro Tour probably around 60th or 70th or something like that ranked. Like, so we're not talking about like I'm not going to embarrass myself, but I will be going to every tournament knowing right off the bat there's 50 players out there that if we all shoot average are going to beat me. I will have to excel to shoot in, like if a top 10 finish one time will be something I'd be very proud of. If I win, that's the goal, but
you'll be the Phil Mickelson of disc golf.
The what?
The Phil Mickelson of disc golf.
Yeah, I was making the announcement and he stole my thunder. Typical golfers taking away our press. No, who's not a huge fan of that though? It's what a beautiful story and it's great. And so hearing that, I had already basically made the announcement. I had already publicly stated that I was considering this decision. So, but when you see that, you're like, okay, that's cool. Like I'm literally inspired by it. I mean, who wouldn't be?
Yeah. Well, so with sports being naturally competitive, whether it's a team sport or you're by yourself, how you would be in like disc golf, do you see a lot of ego on the field? And if so, how do you deal with that, whether it's your own or other members?
So the thing about the culture of disc golf at the professional level, there is a very high level of professionalism that's expected. This is one of the areas where we have modeled ourselves after ball golf. We're not modeling ourselves after the sport with the trash talking and they call them gentlemen's games. Darts, golf, billiards. There are sports where there is a certain etiquette that is expected. You don't get people acting like, we're human, right? But I mean, for the most part, you don't get people acting like arrogant jerks out on the disc golf course. Now, having said that, there is no successful athlete in the entire world that isn't egotistical and arrogant between their ears. I mean, you have to go out there feeling like you're the best. So when I was competing and when I was winning, tournaments, major tournaments, when I pulled into the parking lot of the tournament, it's a pack, there's hundreds of people there to play the event. I would pull into the parking lot and I would think to myself, wow, all these people came to my party. That's really cool. They came out, they're here to donate. Like that's what I was thinking, but I would never behave that way on the course because then I'm an asshole and no one wants to be my friend, right?
Yeah.
And it's unprofessional, but in my mind, that is the mindset of how you have to be at every sport. So the most humble athlete in the entire world is egotistical and arrogant between their ears. It comes with it. It has to be.
Yeah, no, I completely understand, especially when you are a professional at it. It's one thing if you're just like messing around with friends and stuff and you're better than your college buddies, but like in your case, you're a professional athlete. This is what you do for a living. When you walk onto a course, on some level or another, you are the man. You're the one who's there to get it done. And that's a great mindset to have. It's a winner's mindset. But I also,
so when I go back out on tour though, I am gonna have fun with the fact. Because the majority, if not all the players, I'm going to beat on a given weekend. And I'm going to let them know that I'm 52 years old when I do it. But we're friends. I'm going to let them know because let me have my victories. Like you have far more years of life in front of you than me. Let me enjoy my little, like one of the things I've decided to do, because I have nothing but love and respect. And when I say respect, what they're doing, the level of play is so amazing that the athletes are doing at this sport. It's so high level. But I'm going to refer to them in every interview as the children on tour. I'm just going to call them children. And it's a little subtle way of just taking a little shot at them. But not because there's malice. It's just we're competitors, right? So there's a little bit of that too. But it has to be in fun, not in not.
Well, I think for them that there's something humbling and even inspirational in that. Like I'm 21 years old. If I get on the course and I'm tearing it up or doing bad or however my performance is, and then I see you getting on and you're older than me by X amount of years, I want to think to myself, exactly. Then I want to think to myself, all right, so I'm this age now doing however I'm doing. If I continue to work and really put effort into this, then I can be like him, maybe even before where he is right now. So maybe in the next 10 years, I can get to his skill level. So that's like, if you're able to put that ego aside. And then when you pick on me too, I'm all like, all right, we'll see. Just give it some time. I'm going to get there.
Yeah. And the thing is too, is I have a really good fan base. It's growing daily. I mean, my YouTube subscribers are increasing by like 150 a day. Growing.
Oh my God. Congratulations.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I just hit 20,000 and, which, you know, in YouTube land, that ain't that big. In disc golf, it's already getting pretty up there.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are older. And so I'm connecting with my peers. And so if I can go out there, like they can vicariously, you know, beat up on the kids through me, then, you know, I love it. If they can pull away from their cubicle on a Friday and, you know, give a little fist pump because,
yeah,
like, cool, I love it. Those are my peers. I love the kids, but my peers are my peers, right?
Yeah. Do you think the growth of this sport has been majority because of the internet or more word of mouth, people just moving from town to town and demanding disc golf, as you said earlier?
Well, I mean, it's both. I mean, the internet certainly hasn't hurt, but a lot of it is just there. I mean, sometimes you hit critical mass. I mean, we hit a point now, like not now, but we hit a point a number of years ago where it all of a sudden was weird that you haven't tried it. Like before, no one had heard of it, and all of a sudden one day, if you hadn't tried it, it was weird. And then when people try it, I've been around for 44 years. I've never heard someone come off the course their first day and go, yeah, that wasn't bad, you know, cool, thanks for inviting me. I didn't really enjoy it. Like I've never heard that spoken once. It has always been, holy cow, that was way more fun than I thought. And so that's the growth is just the fact that it's fun. It's golf. Golf is fun, and if you don't got to fork out $100 to do it, all of a sudden it's fun for all the rest of the people that can't afford to fork out $100 for a round of golf. By the way, I know all the city park course pros I know that it's not always $100, but but free is better. And you know, it is $100 no matter what if you got a family of 4.
Oh yeah.
So
it adds up quick.
Yeah, absolutely. So like we actually, the number of people that play disc golf has passed ball golf. Just in terms of participation, as far as the amount of people that have played once a month. By the way, let me rephrase that. I am guessing because it was predicted about 7 years ago that we were about 5 years ago, it was predicted we would hit it in about 7 years because of our growth rate and ball golf had been struggling.
Right.
And been on the decline. So it was about 7 years away. And with COVID, I think we probably got there in 5. So I'm guessing it's around the same. But the difference is, or one big difference is that the metric they used is the amount of people that play one round of golf a month. Our numbers were similar. But there are no disc golfers playing one round a month because it's super fun and it's affordable and it takes 2 hours instead of 5. So the disc golfers that play are all playing multiple times a week. There's not a lot of once a month disc golfers out there because why would there? If it's fun and it's free, you're not doing it once a month.
Exactly. If you got the time, you're going to go do it. Earlier today, we had on our personal trainer, Joe, and I know training is usually a very big part of being an athlete. However, I've also seen every shape and walk of life do disc golf before. Is there any kind of, being a professional disc golfer, is there any kind of training that you do in the gym or for cardio or anything at all? Like what are some of the exercises that you like to really focus on to make sure you're at your best performance?
100%. There's training involved. Again, compare it to ball golf. If you're a professional ball golfer, the majority of how you get good at ball golf is on the driving range and the putting green. Right. Like that, you get better by hitting balls, and the more hours and more balls you hit, the better you get. That is most of it. Just like our sport, the same would apply to bowling, darts, billiards, any real non-cardio sport. Repetition is what's going to be best. Having said that, we know this from every other sport like ball golf, that being in shape makes you better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's it. I mean, if you're stronger, if the better shape you're in, the less fatigue you get. The less fatigue you get, the better you'll perform. The stronger you get, the less injuries you're going to have. The less injuries you have, the more you can train. The more you can train, the better you perform. And there's a correlation between health and excelling. So just like all these other sports that I mentioned, you see a complete variety of players out there playing. But the higher level you get, you start to see a higher level of athleticism. And now on the pro tour, you're looking at a bunch of athletes. I mean, you're not looking at a bunch of people that look out of shape. I mean, these are young, athletic men and women, and like it's a real sport. I mean, it all matters, right? Every piece, especially with like it's razor thin at the top, just like ball golf. What's the difference between the top player and the 50th best player in the world? Like 1.5 strokes around. I'm completely guessing. Maybe it's 4 strokes around, but 4 strokes around out of 72 is like razor thin. Well, what's the difference? Well, possibly 2 or 3 strokes could be made up by doing cardio. Maybe that's the difference. So most competitive athletes don't waste these opportunities to excel. And so that's low-hanging fruit to be in shape.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if you're not in shape and you start getting to the end of your round of golf or the end of your bowling game or the end of anything, you start to lose your focus because your body is starting to feel it. So the better shape you're in, the better chances are you're going to be able to continue that focus. And the difference between being good and great is all in your focus, right?
Yeah, and especially at the highest level. I mean, take a sport like bowling. I mean, bowling, unfortunately, has suffered every joke in the world about, like, how do you work out for bowling? By lifting your beer, right? That's totally true for league night. But at the highest level, a professional bowler is a high-level skilled athlete. And what they do, qualifying at tournaments, like there's athleticism, there's serious athleticism involved. And it's sad that gets questioned because they're athletes at the highest level, no question.
I think bowling falls in that category of those weird sports where, like you said, everybody does kind of make fun of it and joke around with it. But then once you see a professional bowler really do their work, you can't be anything other than impressed. You just watch them, you're like, oh my God, how did they get that spin on the ball to do that? Like, how do they memorize the oil patterns of the lanes when they're throwing that ball down there? And I feel like there's a lot of sports that get thrown into that category where they kind of like get like pushed off to the side until you see somebody who's really good at it. And you're like, holy shit, this is the real deal. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah. So I'll tell you a funny story about bowling. I bowled as a kid a lot. I lived in a bowling alley as a kid. Didn't bowl for like 20-something years. Came back like, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago. I bowled for like a year or two, one night a week. But with all the new reactive balls and the new equipment they have, I got my average up to 215. But there were a lot of bowlers that were over 200. With the equipment they have today, not that big of a deal to be a 200 average bowler if you put a little time in. And one night, just for fun, the person that ran the house where we bowled, he was a PBA pro, had 5 wins on tour. Everyone kept bugging him. Let's use the PBA bowling, the oil patterns that they use in the professional bowling. And he kept saying, no, I've done that before. And everybody just gets mad and they hate it. We're like, no, we want to challenge ourselves, right?
Right.
So he's like, all right, just for fun. He went out there. He had to pay a bunch of money to get these patterns, but he went out and laid out the lanes with the oil patterns they do on the PBA tour. And it sucked. It was so hard.
Yeah.
The 210 bowlers are bowling 170s.
Yep.
Like, it was like, are you kidding me? Because you think you're pretty good until you actually like compete on their situations, and you're like, this is impossible. Like, nobody was bowling 200s. Like, literally nobody. We had 225, 228 bowlers, good house bowlers, very high level league bowlers. They were bowling in the 180s, 190s, like on the PBA lanes. It was like, man, like,
well, I didn't even learn that there were oil patterns until I want to say I was probably 19 or 20 years old when I finally because I always knew there was oil on there. I thought that was just to help the wood from not getting chipped and scratched up. And then eventually I saw a YouTube video where it was like, how do professional bowlers get a strike every single time? When they went into the science behind what the oil patterns were and how they have to curve the ball a specific way. I'm like, this is more math than anything else. This isn't just aim. Like, it's difficult.
That's right. And when I was a kid, it was Earl Anthony and Johnny Petraglia, and I'm probably in names that most people don't even remember.
I know all of them. Lefty.
Amazing bowlers. But when you talk about athleticism, you know, I grew up in Waukegan, Illinois. We used to have a 20-game tournament where bowlers would, you know, you had to bowl 20 games. Well, in qualifying to get to the TV, you have to bowl like 20 games in a day or 10 games in a day. That when you start trying to bowl 10 and 20 games a day and maintain a high level of accuracy and focus, that is very difficult.
Yeah. And by the way, the bowlers are switching lanes every single game too. So they have to learn their oil patterns on the fly every time.
Exactly.
What's funny is this happens the same thing in disc golf. It happens in every other sport where when you play at the highest level, there are people that don't appear that far behind you. But when you look at them, you're like, we're playing a different game than you are. Like you aren't even seeing and understanding what we're doing at this level. It's no different than again, it's like I keep going back to ball golf, but you got, you know, players that are like, well, I can shoot in the low 80s, so I could get hot one, or high 70s. I can shoot. You're not playing the same course. No. Those are not the same greens you're putting on. Like what they're doing at the highest level, you don't understand. But you don't know, because how could you know you don't understand until you've been at that level? So in disc golf, it's no different. At the highest level, what the top players do is I'll watch it and I'll be like, I cannot believe that shot. Everybody kind of claps. Oh, that was a good shot. I'm like, no, you have no idea what they just did. You know, like to execute that shot was incredible.
Yeah, I think the easiest way for people to realize that, because as you said, there's that razor thin difference between the very, very top and right below them across every sport. I think that the easiest way for somebody, so like the average person, to see that, at least physically, is in a sport like weightlifting or competitive like bodybuilding, where, you know, the difference between lifting 400 pounds and 405 pounds, you know, it's just that little weight, 5 pounds, but there's so much more physical muscle mass. You can physically see the work that person has put in to get that tiny little extra weight to win that gold medal.
Yeah. You look at the top, couldn't agree more. You look at like top golfers and how toned their body is for doing what they do, and then they get injured, right? Because when your body is toned that much and you do something, it can tweak your body and you get injured. What kind of injuries are there that you might experience in disc golf?
So one really amazing thing about our sport, and this is just anecdotal, I'm not going to pretend to, you know more than I know about this, but anecdotally, I've been around forever and I've seen it all. When you throw a disc backhand, the traditional Frisbee throw with proper technique, it is just about the lowest impact thing you can do. You should really expect to never be injured doing that if you throw correctly. And this, again, anecdotally, I've just known too many players who have been playing for 40 or 50 years who still play. If their technique was good, they don't hurt from throwing. Everything else hurts because they're in their 60s or 70s now. Yeah. But throwing doesn't hurt. Now, on the flip side, the sidearm delivery, which is like a baseball sidearm, with perfect form, you should injure yourself less than bad form. But elbow injuries can still happen. If you throw a baseball perfectly, it doesn't mean you're not going to hurt your elbow.
Right.
So with sidearm, elbows are the kind of the weak link. But honestly, as far as impact, as far as health goes, that little bit of wear and tear on your body, when you trade that off with every round of golf, you actually walk 4 or 5, 3, 4, 5 miles on a 1.5 mile course. Yep. Like the amount of health benefits that come with playing, like far outweigh the occasional, my back's a little sore from playing 3 rounds, I'll take a day off. Yeah. Right. So yeah, we're blessed that way. I mean, it's one of those sports where injuries shouldn't really
no carpal tunnel and stuff like that.
No, not with now with bad form. Yeah, you do anything with bad form, you're going to get hurt. You type on a computer with your wrist using bad wrist form, you get carpal tunnel.
Right.
So bad form will hurt you no matter what you do, but proper form, no. Proper form, it's low impact as any game I know.
So we're really eating through this hour right here very nicely. I want to step on your book a little. I want to step to your book a little bit here. You wrote an autobiography. Tell us a little bit about that process. Where did you decide to start in your life? Like in the book, what was like the starting point? Was that 7 years old when you first started disc golf, or was it a bit before that? Like, tell us a bit about the journey and the writing process.
So basically, I was writing my autobiography. Well, my goal my entire life is I said I want to live a life worth writing a book about. Yeah, I didn't want to live a life where I would just disappear someday and then be forgotten. And I wrote about the first 25 years. Well, I wrote up until 2001 because I retired from the sport for 13 years in 2001. So that was the end of the first part of my disc golf journey. Wow. And it was my autobiography. And when I wrote it, it was 126,000 words, which is not unusual on a first draft. But every time I did 6 rewrites, I kept rewriting and reading because it started off terrible. I wanted to scrap it after the first attempt. And my co-author said, no, this is part of the process. First drafts are often bad. I'm like, no, I can't put this out. He convinced me to do a rewrite and read. 6 rewrites later, I'm very proud of it, but it didn't start off good. But as I kept writing it, I started realizing that the parts of my life that weren't somehow related to disc golf weren't going to be the slightest bit interesting to the reader. So I started chopping stuff out. Like, I had this really interesting thing I did. Well, it almost didn't flow with the narrative, which is I ate, slept, and drank this sport. So even the things in the book that aren't about disc golf, there's plenty of stuff not about disc golf, but it's all related to disc golf. It all ties in somehow. And that's really what it was. So it's my autobiography growing up in the sport, but it's also the history of the sport through my eyes. So it's not names and dates and all that stuff they do in high school that everyone hates. I was there for many of the major milestones and events in the sport that I got to, hey, I was standing 4 feet away when this thing was announced or when it happened. I get to, this is what we were talking about when we heard it. And even the things I wasn't there for, I got to tell the story of, we heard about this person that did this thing, and this is what we thought of it. So it's all through my eyes, but it's also historical. I think it's funny and interesting. One of the most common comments I get is that it's a good book, even if you don't care about disc golf. My ex-wife, who factored in prominently into a lot of the book, gave me a 5-star review on Amazon and said, even if you're not into disc golf, because she had been out of the sport since we split up 20 years ago, she goes, even if you're not into disc golf, she goes, I think you're going to like the story. So just like watching a sports movie, you don't have to like the sport in the movie to actually enjoy the movie if the story's right. Good. I think the story's good.
I think it's a very unique perspective that you give on it as well, that it is an autobiography, but it also is sort of a history lesson in the sense that you have literally grown up with the sport. That's not something that I'm at least very familiar with. That's in storytelling is, hey, this is my story of somebody or something else of history. Right. I think that's really
part of this. I was inspired by a professional wrestler of all people named Mick Foley, who wrote basically the first book, the first pro wrestling autobiography. And it ended up going a New York Times bestseller. Like, it was wildly successful. And I wasn't necessarily expecting that. There's a larger audience of wrestling fans in the world than there are disc golfers. But what I liked about his book is that even though it was his autobiography, I think he recognized that people weren't that interested in him at that time. He was probably the 20th most well-known pro wrestler in the world. If you were into wrestling, you've heard of him. If you weren't, he wasn't Hulk Hogan or Ric Flair. Right. But what people were interested in was what happened behind the scenes in the pro wrestling world. They wanted to hear the stories of the other players, about the industry, the all the shoot stuff, which is was interesting. So when I wrote my autobiography, I had to accept the fact that I had people that were interested in reading about me, but there were far more people that were interested in reading about disc golf than cared about me. Maybe they'll care about me after they read about disc golf, but they didn't start caring about me. So the book is a lot about the sport for that reason. Again, Mick Foley was my inspiration, but I think he nailed it. I tried to do my best to do what he did, honestly.
Wow. Yeah, I think that's really cool. I think that is really true. Is, regardless of what anybody thinks about their autobiography, people aren't really reading it about you. They're reading about what it is that you are associated with, what it is that you are really talking about. What is that thread other than you that is in that story?
Yeah, and I think that's true. It's it's hard to recognize those things as truth, but it is around. Far more disc golf fans than Scott Stokely fans, and since I want to sell books.
Yeah. So
right,
one more question before we move on to our final segment here. Yeah. Who did you write this book for? Was this more for yourself? Because you said that you want to live an interesting life, so that way you have something you could write about. So was this more something you wrote for yourself, or was this more something you wrote for people to be able to introduce to disc golf and continue to get out what you're passionate to the world?
So I had two motives. The first one was to write about myself. I wanted my story out there. If this sport is around for 1,000 years, my autobiography will be the first one ever written in the sport, and it will be the one that chronicles the first 25 years of the sport. I think that'll remain interesting as current figures come and go. I think I'm now locked in as part of the sports history. But the other thing that was really important to me is that there were so many people that dedicated themselves to the sport as players, as promoters, as manufacturers. And I didn't want them to get lost to history, because just one generation later, everybody involved in the sport is in social media, on YouTube. Yeah. No one will ever be forgotten again in this world. And that happened after 2000, right? Yeah. So it was very important to me that all of the people that I love had their name in print. I mean, the way I envisioned it is I wanted all my friends, all my peers to be able to set their grandkid on their lap, pull out the disc golf history book and point to their name and say, look, see, I was a part of this thing. I'm right there in print. So much so, in fact, that I made a list of every single person that meant anything to me in the sport, or that I felt was a big part of the sport. And I made a list and I checked them off, and I made sure no matter what, every single person got mentioned. And when it was all said and done, I had a handful of people that I didn't really have good stories about. So I would find a couple places in there, such as, how would you compare players of different regions, such as, and I would rattle off 8 people, but it was just a way of making sure everybody got into the book once.
That's
so
nice.
I did
Nice.
it for them too. I did it for me, and I did it for them. And if people enjoy it as well, then they also get the rewards, right?
Yeah, I think that you have most definitely succeeded in one of the greatest challenges that humans tend to flock to naturally, which is you've solidified yourself in history. You most definitely have solidified yourself in culture where you'll be remembered long after you're gone, and that's got to be quite an amazing feeling.
It matters to me, and if that's ego, then whatever label you put on it. But
I think it's natural.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's natural. Yeah, absolutely. So what we do at the end of each episode is we like to give some final word, whether it is, sometimes it's like a fortune cookie thing, sometimes it's just some words of positivity or motivation, sometimes it's whatever you take from the show and summarizing it up. I'm going to go first, and then we'll have Brett go, and then you as the guest will take us out last, all right?
Okay.
All right. So today has been a wonderful episode. I'd like to thank Brett for stepping in and helping me out with today's episode. I'd love to thank Joe for giving me that second workout of today. I really did enjoy it, really appreciate it. It helps keep me motivated so I continue working out for the week. And I'd like to thank Scott for being such a wonderful guest and making this past hour completely fly by. Despite the technical difficulties, he was able to figure it out. He stayed motivated, and he was determined to get this done, and I'm very glad that he did. What I would like to take away from today's episode is exactly the last thing that we had just discussed, which is when we were talking earlier, I wanted to ask Scott, as he grew up, if he decided to invest anything into the sport. He saw that it was growing. He saw that he believed it was going to be a big thing. I was going to ask him if he saw an opportunity to invest money into it to make something. And what I learned by the end of the episode is he most definitely did invest. While I'm not sure if he invested any money into it, he invested his time, and he invested his passion and his love and his physical capability to the point where now he is now going down in this part of history. He is solidified his position. He has solidified his position in the history of disc golf and the upcoming and upbringing of this new sport that is sweeping the world, one day at a time, 1,000 subscribers at a time. He's constantly growing, and he has invested his time, his love, his passion, his energy, his sleep. I'm sure he's invested a lot in, and it is most definitely paying off. So figure out whatever you're passionate in. Try to find an opportunity. Say yes to it and invest. It doesn't always have to be money. You can invest in a lot of different ways. And sometimes if you invest long enough and you're patient enough, you will get that payout and you will go down in someone's history.
Awesome. I'm going to try to run more of an analogy along with disc golf, and that in life, we run into many different courses. We run into many different competitions. We run into many different scenarios, and choosing the right tool or having the right tools to choose from, just like having the right disc and knowing which disc to use for different situations, and then having the technique of using that disc to go around the bend or to get around the obstacle of life is really critical. The other thing that I see is that when you, as in life, when you throw a disc, it goes. And it may go far, it may go where you want it to, it may not go where you want it to. Then it lands and you have to get there and you pick it up again and then you throw again. And you can correct for, mistakes that might have been made. That's all things that we have in terms of life as well. So when we're looking at life, we have to practice. We have to get out there. We have to build our tools and know how those tools can be used. And then we have to actually do it in order to be able to really get better and better and better at navigating that course of life, so that we aren't just good, but we move ourselves up to being great in life.
Oh, great. I love being on, getting to jump on my soapbox. I'm at that age where the biggest single thing that I tell people that I've learned in life, if I had one old man wisdom to pass on, is do not let anyone put you in a box, ever. We get fed, I don't want to swear on your show, so we'll
That's okay, we do.
You're right, you get an F word, go right ahead.
Yeah, we get an F word anyhow.
The biggest bullshit you'll ever hear your entire life is that this is what a career looks like. This is what an education looks like. This is what a relationship looks like. This is what raising your kids looks like. And you're supposed to do things like you're supposed to follow this script. And it's bullshit.
Yeah.
You figure out what you want to do and pursue things the way you want to do it. Don't let anybody tell you that this is the way you're supposed to do things. I see this all the time. And with the people that are following the script, I see misery. Not always, because for some people that script is what was perfect for them. They should have a 9-to-5 job and 1 week of vacation a year, and they should have 2 kids in a monogamous traditional relationship, and they should be doing all the things that are in public schools and all this, right? Nothing wrong with any of that. But every one of those things isn't a fit for every single person. And so if you can figure out without preconceived ideas what you want in life, or what you want to achieve, how you want to achieve it, and then make your own path, that's where joy comes from. Those are the people that are the happiest I've seen. Again, just to be clear, none of those things I just mentioned are wrong. Right. They're just not right for every single person. And so follow your own path, and that's where happiness lies. It doesn't lie in someone else's path.
Absolutely, wonderfully said.
Awesome.
I have dropped all your links a couple times here into the chat board for people to go follow you. If anybody wants to get in contact with you, I'm sure they can do that through your website, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome, Greg. I know I have a couple people in the messages here who would like to get in contact with you, and I got some questions and how to get introduced into disc golf and everything. Any last things you like to plug in really quick? You said you got some events coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. My book is on Amazon. It's got 5 stars. There's already a base of 15 million people playing, and there has yet to be a real attempt at a feature film in disc golf. My next project that I'm trying to do is get a movie made based on my book, based on a proven story. It already got all the reviews. It's an interesting story that would be a mainstream story, but it also comes with a built-in 15 million person marketing machine. To me, it's a slam dunk for someone who wants to talk to me about that. So that's what I'm looking for right now. I'm looking for a production company to get that happening. So that is, if I have a plug, if you have a friend of a friend, have them reach out to me on website, Facebook.
How would one audition for that movie?
The audition, that's a really good question. I don't know. I want the movie to be played by disc golfers. The reason why is because it's very important to the sport that the people playing look like they know how to play, because anytime, this is a pet peeve of mine, but anytime you see a sports movie with a well-known actor or actress playing the athlete, and you can clearly tell it's either not them playing, or when you watch them play, they don't know what they're doing. It just has never worked in my mind. I can't suspend disbelief when I watch that person shooting baskets that way. I'm like, that's not how you play basketball. And that's not how you shoot. It's not how you bowl. That's not what a bowler
Well, I
looks
have
like.
a lot of afternoons completely free, so I'm going to spend the next couple months just grinding out hours and hours and hours of disc golf. Keep in touch and let me know when you have these auditions going on, and we'll see if I make the cut. If I don't, then worst case scenario, I just have a lot of fun playing disc golf on my free time.
I will. And Brad Pitt is playing me. I don't know, maybe not.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
That'd be a hell of a casting.
I was just told he's too short. I already know who's playing me. It's another disc golfer, but I haven't told him yet because I'm competing against him, and I don't want to like blow up his ego. So I haven't told him, but I've already picked who's playing me in the movie. But he doesn't know
awesome.
yet. All right.
That's awesome. I love that.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much again for being on here. Absolutely.
It's been fantastic.
Thank you to everybody who has watched the show, everyone who comments, who likes, who shared around. And that's the best way that you can help us out here, is to simply just share the podcast around to a friend, a family member on your social media. Word of mouth is really how these things grow. So everybody have a wonderful day. We will see you again tomorrow, same time, same place. Take care.
Thanks, guys. Bye.